Alright, here we go. Hello. We're gonna talk about what I watched. Not what I listened to, just because I watched a lot in November. So I feel like this video would be an hour long if I try to go over my playlist too. So we're just gonna stick with films. The reason is I'm trying to finish my list. So that's what I was trying to accomplish in November by watching a movie every day so I can make a dent in my list. So now I'm like halfway through, and that means that I have to watch 2 films for 27 days in December until the end of the year to complete my film challenge. I didn't watch 2 films yesterday because yesterday was the first, today's the second, and I probably won't watch it today. Number 1, I watched Suspiria, the 1977 one, because I've been trying to watch this and the newer one for since the newer one came out, a long time. I thought it was pretty good. I gave it 4 with a heart. So I was starting the month off right. The second one I watched, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I wrote Weirdo Girlfriend, Weirdo Boyfriend. I had A Girl Walks Home at Night on my list for a long time. It came out in 2014. It was interesting, I'll say that. Then I watched Possessor. And I wrote, not only was this movie crazy, but I also thought the lead guy was the Jon Snow actor the entire time. You can't tell me that they don't look the same. I never got into Game of Thrones, so maybe they don't look the same to someone who actually watched the show, or maybe watches that guy. I can't remember his name either. I'll put it up on the screen. That movie was strained, and there were a couple moments where I was just like, what the heck is going on? Twist fit in with Black Mirror. Can those crows? Why is it that whenever it's raining, crows just really love water? They're like the golden retriever of the bird species. Or maybe they're not. Actually, I don't know, because they're smart and they'll hold grudges and they talk and they're strange. They're aliens. Oh, also, in order to complete this, I decided that I was no longer watching this in chronological order, because trying to watch this list in chronological order is the reason why I have to watch 2 movies a day for 27 days in December, because I could not get through the silent films. Now, I think I have 1 left, but I had to walk at least 3 times because the films either were boring, I can't get myself to finish this. So thankfully on some streaming platforms, they allow you the option to adjust the speed, so that's nice. Okay, moving on. I watched Daughters of Darkness, which is 1971. That movie was strange. I gave it 3. Storyline. I wrote so many WTF moments. I remember some parts what happened, but if I can try to give you a synopsis from beginning to end. No. Moving on, I watched Lady Vengeance. I said, wow, this film invented filmmaking. So many nice shots and cuts. Overall, great cinematography. I do remember that they had a lot of great cuts when they were transitioning between scenes. So I thought that was pretty nice. And also the storyline. There were some bits in it where I was just what the heck? Then moving on, I watched Buffalo 66. I was feeling chaotic that day. 1998. I was so many wrongs, but what an interesting film. I'm going to try to use another word besides interesting, because I notice I say that a lot and I need to not. Just first of all, the premise, I felt, okay, that dude was a bad guy because he freaking kidnapped her, and then she had a bit of Stockholm syndrome, and his parents were super trashy, stuck on, his mom loves the Buffalo Bills more than she loves her son, and his dad just can't stand him. I don't even remember why, but also the dad was nasty. He was trying to get at I can't remember any of their names, but Christina Ricci's character, he was trying to hug her and touch her and be just freaking nasty. Obviously the mom don't like him either. Okay, if you're not the Buffalo Bills, the mom don't want you. Moving on, I watched Anais in Love, which was a French film, and a heart. I don't remember why I gave it a heart. I think that might have been an accident because it wasn't all that. I'm gonna get rid of it. It was okay. I don't know what it is with either the French or why I keep choosing these movies with French people and their affairs and cheating and intramarital flings or whatever, but they need to calm down over there. If you're French and you know someone that is having an affair, you need to tell them to stop, or tell yourself to stop. Then I watched Les Bons Cœurs. I don't know how to speak French. I wrote my second French film this week with a character named Emily and a cheating scumbag husband. So this one was worse than Anais in Love, because the way that it was my first Agnes Varda film. I'm trying to say with a Spanish accent. The way that this was just so twisted And the ending of it, where it's just like, oh, yeah. But it's just like tragic. Like a tragedy just happened, but it's like, but it's okay. Lady, what? This is your life now? Like, maybe that's what actors is known for. Moving on, going back in time, we go to 1941. I watched The Maltese Falcon, and I wrote that I would like to see The Thin Man, Columbo, and Samuel Spade have a crossover. Like, that would be not like, I don't need them. Listen, Hollywood, I don't need you to go make a remake with this idea. Unless you want to bring me on board, then yes. But if not, please don't. We don't need a remake of either of those movies. I just, in my mind, in a perfect world, that would have happened. This movie was just ridiculous. It was just like so many moments where I'm just like, who can you believe that one actor, Looney Tunes and literally everyone else in Hollywood would make fun of? Peter Lorre, he was in it, and I had to like blink for a second because I remember I saw like a tweet a while back. Man, they're like, the way that Hollywood used to draw an animated version of Peter, they would make his eyes like huge and bug-like and over-exaggerated and everything. They just pick at his appearance. I don't know, people are just mean. Then I watched The Quiet Girl, which came out in 2022. I wrote, such a sweet film. I wish every lonely child could feel loved, seen, and not like they're a nuisance. I was rooting for this little girl. It was an Irish, like I've watched a couple Irish films, but they're not actually Irish. Gaelic, I'm not sure the proper term. A different way to watch a, Irish film where it's not in English. On the 11th of November, I watched Paris, Texas, which I've seen so many people talk about for a long time. I wrote, he was still a creepy dude dating a naive young girl. When I was reading the reviews after the movie, I saw like another comment mention that they wished they would have seen like from her perspective, so we didn't just have to see that dude's crusty ass nasty perspective. It was 2 hours and it felt like it too. I remember at one point I was like, no one's worried about this kid just hanging out here, but then I guess that's how it was in the 80s. Like, they didn't care. No one cared about anything. That's how it is now. People don't care about anything either. That's why we're in the predicaments that we're in. That dude was crusty, old as hell, dating this young girl. He got what he deserved, okay?
Walking aimlessly in a desert like some loser after getting pried on this like 18-year-old and had kids and then was abusive. Like, dude, pick a struggle, okay?
So anyways, I watched Desert Hearts. I gave it 3.5. It was okay, but also was just like boring to me, and I think I was interested in it because they were in Reno. It didn't have any Reno vibe to it. And I had to actually go look this up on IMDb because I was convinced that they were in Los Angeles on a like soundstage 20 some years or whatever when I got to Reno and was going to school there. But no. And then they kept saying desert. Like, Reno was not a desert. I had to look this up because I was like, I've never heard Reno be called a desert. And there's a certain term, but I've forgotten the term sense right now. But I'll put it right here on the screen. But that is what the ecosystem, microclimate, whatever climate is in Reno. Then I went on to Party Girl. For some reason, I just refound Parker Posey. I know that she was in movies that I've watched growing up. Until Clock Watchers, which I watched earlier this year, I didn't know who Parker Posey was. This was okay. It's typical like 90s film where they gotta make a girl be stupid and aimless. Me. No, I was kidding. Yeah, I'm just like, man. I had to give lower ratings to like early 2000s because that's all the early 2000s was. It was like those dumb rom-coms where the woman has to be so stupid and can't figure out what's going on. Damsel in distress and stuff like that. Annoying things. Then I watched Broken, which had a like freaking fetus Kellen Murphy in it. I almost turned this off because at one point I was just like, no. It was like so much going on. It was like intersecting lives. And it was just craziness happening one after another. And I was like, I can't deal with this right now. Like, I'm trying to watch something. Like, the synopsis, it said tragic consequences, but that is not a good description because it should be tragic, non-stop, emotional roller coaster consequences. And I wrote, I almost turned this off because I was so tired of the craziness, but alas, I prevailed. Well, I gave it a 4 stars still, even after that. I watched on the 15th of November, Son of a White Mare. This was a movie that I swapped out. I can't remember what I originally had, but I swapped it for this because it had such high rating. Everyone was like, this animated film I can see how this was like groundbreaking and like set the record for all animated films and everything. This film was weird. Weird as I had to watch this on 1.5 speed just to get through it because I almost turned it off. I gave it 3.5, but I was like, this is a fever dream. The dramatics, the antics, the overly sexualized character style, like everything had to look phallic like, and just the way that they would, because it was like three brothers, and the way that they were there at one point there was this like spanking scene where I guess the brother didn't cook, but they didn't know that there was something interfering him from cooking, and it like messed him up. They were like sat him down and were like spanking him, and the way that they drew it was so like sexualized and gross and weird, and I was just like, what? I was like, what didn't this film have? I ended up watching the last 55 minutes of it on 1.5 speed just to make it through. I kind of was most looking forward to Fantastic Planet just because, here, I'll show it right here. That's what drew me to it. That's why I put it on here, and also it had good ratings. So I watched this with my sister, and I was a little timid to watch it because I had just seen like Son of the White Mare, and I was like, I don't know if I can go with another crazy animated film, but alas, I did. Yeah, so I wrote there was so much nudity for a PG-rated film but I know they didn't give up in the 70s. They just had like the women, they just had their boobs out. They were just hanging out. And, like everyone had to be naked, even the alien things, the freaking people. Then I watched I Married a Witch. It was okay. It was 1942. You know, now that I think about it, I like it better. Instead of going chronologically by the years, which I've done before. Like I took a film class, so I didn't have to take art in high school. I went to the community college and took a film class. That's when I watched like all the like big things like Casablanca, M for Murder, Nosferatu. I've seen how movies progressed from like the beginning, the no code era to what it is now. So that's why I don't know why I was trying so hard. Even going from like a 70s movie to a 40s movie, I can tell the difference. Like duh. But like just the writing style and everything. And like that's how I felt with I Married a Witch. I wrote I can still hear her dad kikiing because he was doing this ugly little hee 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 laugh. You know I do hee hee all the time, but he was doing this ugly hee 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 laugh. It's just so annoying at some point. It was pretty good. Like, would I watch it again? No. But if someone wanted to watch it, would I say they could? Yeah. I watched 1987 Hollywood Shuffle. It's funny, when I saw this film poster, I think my dad gave me this recommendation. When I saw it, I thought it was Eddie Murphy. And then there was like a bit in the movie that like he looked like Eddie Murphy. So I was like, wow. But it was Robert Townsend, Keenan, Ivory Wayans, John Witherspoon, Damon Wayans was in it. You know, Kim Wayans, pretty much all the other Wayans were in it. Overall, I thought it was pretty funny, and I gave it a 4. Then I watched 1963 Charade, Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn, and I thought it was good. And then I was also just like, okay, Cary Grant's a little easy on the eyes, which is funny because I watched another movie which I'll talk about. So I saw like him when he was young, and then I saw when he was older. But this one, he was older. I think this was right before he retired. But this one was pretty good. It like had like a mix of humor and also like mystery type of thing. And then it's like you don't know who to trust. I think this is my first time watching Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant. Actually, that may be a lie. And I'm not going to fact check, so I'm going to leave that in. Next, I watched Tammy of the Shrew. This was also a movie I swapped in for one of the silent films that I could not finish. This was actually funny. Like, I was cracking up laughing at this. And like, a bunch of people were saying it's not as good as the play. I don't know. That's what people were kind of complaining about in the reviews. But I thought it was pretty good. I just wanted to watch a silent film that wasn't short and wasn't stupid. And that's what that was. So then I watched The Night's Wife. Thankfully, this was on the platform where I could watch it on a like higher speed because it was boring. And that little kid was annoying. I get she was sick, but she was also annoying. Then I watched The Brood, which was it was on the same level of Possessor. I was just like, what the is going on? It was nasty. Like I get it because it's David Cronenberg and he loves his, body horror, what he's known for, because he had some nasty stuff. And is Brandon David's? It is. Then there you go. Like father, like son. You're doing your dad proud, Brandon. I don't know why I didn't put that 2 and 2 together earlier. Or maybe I did. So then I watched Journey to Italy, which I originally started earlier this year, but then it was a little boring. Maybe that's right before life happened and I stopped watching my list and started watching other movies a lot. It was okay. There's another thing where it was like her husband almost cheated on her, but then the lady he was trying to cheat on was just like, JK, my husband's back and I like him. And then she kind of just like took him back to, I'm like, ew, lady, you could do better. The guy that created this, Charles Lawton, he was an actor. He's probably been in a lot of films that you've seen, I've seen, everybody's seen. This was his only film that he ever did, and then that was it. It has like a 4.3 on Letterboxd. I give this thing a 5 stars. This might be my only 5 stars this year. I said I wish all movies had this level of comedic flair. It was like stupid funny, like slapstick funny, but not exaggerated. How all the stupid old silent films were, like Buster Posey or whatever his name was. And I can't remember any of those people's name good because they all had like child brides anyway, so they're irrelevant. It was funny in a way that carried the film forward in the way that it needed to, so that's good. It had all of us cracking up. Like I watched it with my parents and my sister, and we were all cracking up. Like it took us, like this film was already 93 minutes, and I think it probably took us like 2 hours to finish it because we had to keep pausing it at some points and just like getting stuff. But even though we like extended it out, it just didn't even matter. So if you need a good like funny film to watch with your like family or friends or whatever, and they don't mind black and white old 1955 film, watch The Night of the Hunter because it's hilarious. Moving on, I watched Elevator to the Gallows. I gave it 3.5. I just wrote, she invented being dramatic. It was so, I saw a lot of like mixed reviews. People I follow on Letterboxd, like it had an interesting plot line, but then most of the time this dude was like stuck in an elevator and his like girlfriend, is this French?
If it's another French cheating movie, I'm straight.
It is. With the French and their cheating husband movies. Like this one, each one that I watched, except for Anais in Love, that one wasn't really tragic. But these other ones, like they're always ending in tragedy. It's a whole lot of nothing going on. So because I already knew that I had like a whole bunch of films to watch, my 27 days of double film watching. I originally had The Dark Knight on here because I have not seen The Dark Knight. I don't know what happened. I mean, I've seen Batman, so I know what happens, but I don't know exactly what happens from The Dark Knight. Yeah, I'll watch this. But I decided that instead I was going to swap this out for Radiohead's In Rainbow from the Basement. It's all Letterboxd. It counts to me. So I swapped it because I did not want to have to add on 2 other movies that I have to watch just to get to watch The Dark Knight. So next year, chose to watch this over finally watching The Dark Knight in my review. But I gave it 5 stars. So then I watched Meshes of the Afternoon. It's 1943. Letterboxd told me it was on Canopy. That was a lie, but thankfully someone uploaded it to YouTube. Whoever uploaded that, thank you. I just wrote the scene in the beginning showing her eyes reminded me of the Pretty Little Liars TV show intro. Weird. It's like 14 minutes. Silent. No music. No sounds. No ASMR. Nothing. This lady was experiencing this like weird dream or something. It was weird. And it didn't make sense, and I didn't really like it. So it was me being generous giving it. Then I watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers. For the majority of November, I was watching a lot of like 90-minute or less. For some reason, I kept thinking it was going to be like a zombie movie, but it wasn't. 1956, 4 out of 5 with a heart. And I was like, what if we held hands while escaping from the Sea Pod invaders? It was actually pretty good. Then I watched Bringing Up Baby. I'm about to put Bringing Up Baby like, because I rank my other list of like total movies I've seen in 2023. I'm gonna put Bring Up Baby as like number 1 or number 2 because Bring Up Baby was so fun. Another Hepburn, but this time Katharine Hepburn. But they were like snarky and funny. Like I did not expect to be laughing that much. Like I barely watch comedy films or comedy period unless it's like, you know, The Righteous Gemstones. Fleabag, cracking up almost as much as The Night of the Hunter. Yeah, it was so good. And then I ironically watched it on November 29th, which is actually the same day that Cary Grant died, like years before.
A bit strange.
Then my final November film was Slacker, which is Richard Linklater. I don't even know how to pronounce it. In my head, that's how I pronounce it. So that's what it's going to be. Yeah, and we know that he's known for his like realistic movies, like the Before series, Dazed and Confused, Boyhood, Everyday Life, The Mundane. And I was just like, dang, life in the 90s was chill. Just a bunch of people walking around doing nothing, talking about nothing. And I wrote an alternate reality where COVID never happened and instead 2020 was the year of slacking off.
I wish.
That's all. Thanks for watching. Okay, I'll see you next one.